Hello everyone, Rahul here. Welcome to our channel Doctors to Be, where you will find video tutorials that help you better understand the topics you learn in a medical school. Till now, we have discussed up to the sulci and gyri presented by the medial surface. Now we shall discuss the structures, other structures apart from the sulci and gyri that are presented by the medial surface. So, we'll discuss about we'll discuss briefly about corpus callosum, then septum pellucidum, fornix, and third ventricle, and later we'll discuss in detail about corpus callosum because it is a major topic. So let's get started. Structures on medial surface. Okay, so the first one is corpus callosum. So in this video we will just give an introduction about corpus callosum. We will not discuss in detail about its functions or other details about the corpus callosum. We will just have an overview, and in the next video, not next, in the upcoming videos we'll detail about the corpus callosum. So first one is the structures on the medial surface. First is the corpus callosum. So corpus callosum, as we all know, it's a band of white matter. Corpus callosum is a band of white matter, and it connects or it joins to the two cerebral hemispheres. The two cerebral hemispheres are joined by the corpus callosum, and it is composed by the largest collection of the commissural fibers. Okay, it is a band of white matter, curved band of white matter composed of largest collection of the commissural fibers. Okay, curved band of white matter composed of largest collection of commissural fibers. Okay, and as we all know that it connects the two cerebral hemispheres, and it presents four parts. We discussed in the previous video while discussing about sulci and gyri. So it is just a revision that it presents four parts from posterior to anterior, that they are splenium, trunk or the body, then genu and the rostrum. So I light over here corpus callosum. Okay, this was the first point. The second point is presents under corpus callosum. Okay, this is not about the other part or structure. Presents four parts, and as discussed earlier, splenium, and the parts are splenium, trunk, genu and rostrum. And this is the order is from posterior to anterior. The most posterior is splenium and the most anterior is rostrum. Okay, from posterior, just posterior, I'll let PUST. Okay, old viewers can understand PUST is posterior, but for new viewers PUST is posterior, from posterior to anterior. Okay, so this is about the corpus callosum. And the rostrum. Now the rostrum recurves backward. As we drew a figure about of the corpus callosum, this was the band, and this is the and most anterior part is the rostrum. The rostrum recurves backward and continues with the sheet of grey matter. This is the sheet of grey matter that is called known as sheath. sheath of gray matter called lamina terminalis. Okay, so if this is the rostrum, it is recurving backwards and is continuing with a sheath of gray matter that is known as lamina terminalis. Okay, so the rostrum. Okay, I'll write it over. Corpus callosum is the first structure. Okay, so that you don't get confused. The rostrum recurves. Okay, recurves backward and continues with a sheath of gray matter gray matter that is lamina terminalis. Okay, and while discussing about the third ventricle, we will find that this lamina terminalis is forming the anterior wall of the third ventricle. Okay, lamina terminalis, Terminalis. Okay, lamina terminalis. So okay, let's write about that also. The lamina terminalis forms the anterior wall of third ventricle. We'll discuss about the what the other walls are composed while discussing about third ventricle. For now, lamina terminalis forms the anterior wall of the third ventricle. Okay. And it extends from rostrum to the upper part of optic chiasma. Okay, optic, OPTIC, optic. Okay, I guess you are not clear over here. Optic, OPTIC, optic chiasma. Okay, continues this extent. The lamina terminalis extending from the rostrum anterior part of the rostrum up to the upper part of the optic chiasma. Okay, so the next structure below corpus callosum is fornix, and in between the corpus callosum and fornix is the septum pellucidum. Okay, so we don't have space right now, so septum pellucidum. Okay, so guys, now it's for time for septum pellucidum. So septum pellucidum is a bilaminar partition. As I told that below the corpus callosum is a band of white matter that is called fornix, and in between the fornix and the corpus callosum is the septum pellucidum. So it is a bilaminar partition, is the partition between the corpus callosum and the fornix. So it is a bilaminar partition which has both gray matter and white matter. Okay, both gray matter and white matter. The next point about septum pellucidum is it extends. So just now you can have a logic over here. It is present between the corpus callosum and fornix. So this is the corpus callosum, and if here is the below the corpus callosum is the fornix. In if it is in precipitation in between the corpus callosum and the fornix, so it must extend from the under surface of the corpus callosum up to the upper part of the fornix. So the same thing over here, extends from upper surface of extends from under surface. I explained you just now and I got myself confused. So extends from under surface of corpus callosum to upper surface of body of fornix. Okay. So, and the other next point is in between the two layers, it has a slit like cavity. It has a slit like cavity which is filled with tissue fluid. Okay, not cerebrospinal fluid, not CSF. It is filled with tissue fluid. Most of them get not confused actually. They, while you are in a hurry, while we have time pressure while writing in exams, so we get confused and write CSF in a hurry. So don't get confused. The slit like cavity between the two layers of the septum pellucidum, it is filled by tissue fluid, not CSF. Okay, so slit like cavity in between the two layers, between two layers, filled by tissue fluid. Okay, tissue fluid, not CSF. Okay, I'll mention over here in the bracket CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, not CSF. Okay, so the next point about septum pellucidum is this septum pellucidum belongs to septal nuclei of the limbic lobe. It belongs to the septal nuclei of limbic lobe. Okay, and removal of this, so you may have a question that what happens if we remove septum pellucidum? It's connecting the corpus callosum with fornix. So removal of the septum pellucidum exposes the cavity. Cavity means our anterior horn and the central part of the lateral ventricle. Okay, I mean cavity means when we talk about the ventricles in the cerebrum, the third ventricle or the lateral ventricle, they are what? They are the cavities where CSF is formed. Yes or no? So removal of the septum pellucidum exposes the cavity or the central part, in particularly the anterior horn and the central part of the lateral ventricle, and which presents as a bulging of the head and the body of the caudate nucleus. Okay, so let's try that. So removal of it exposes, it means removal of it is septum pellucidum. Okay, so we are discussing about the structures of medial surface. Before this we studied about corpus callosum. Now in the topic A with the heading A, and now it's B. Okay, don't get confused. Removal of it exposes the cavity, particularly anterior horn and the central part of lateral ventricle. Okay, lateral ventricle, and this presents as bulging of the head and body of caudate nucleus. Okay, so let's have a short marking on these things. So septum pellucidum, after corpus callosum we discuss about septum pellucidum. It is present in between the fornix and the corpus callosum, joining to these two structures. It is a bilaminar partition and consists of both grey matter and white matter. Okay, just remember, corpus callosum consists of white matter, fornix is also a band of white matter, but in between them septum pellucidum is a bilaminar partition of both grey matter and white matter. Okay, it extends from the under surface. Very logical thing. If it is present between the corpus callosum and the fornix is present below the corpus callosum, so then it must extend from the under surface of the corpus callosum to the upper surface of the body of fornix. Okay, now we'll discuss about the fornix in the next video. Fornix and the third ventricle. Okay, and it has a slit like cavity in between the two layers. Okay, there is a slit like cavity, presence of slit like cavity in between the two layers, and that is filled by tissue fluid. Okay, that is filled by tissue fluid, not CSF. Don't get confused over there, not CSF. It is filled by tissue fluid, not CSF. And this septum pellucidum, it belongs to the septal nuclei of the limbic lobe. That's why its name is septum pellucidum. Okay, belongs to the septal nuclei of the limbic lobe. And removal of the septum pellucidum, okay, removal of the septum pellucidum will expose the cavity mainly anterior horn and the central part. As we know, the ventricles are the cavities filled by CSF, where CSF is produced, that is cerebrospinal fluid. So removal of this septum pellucidum is exposing the cavity of the lateral ventricle, and it presents as bulging. The removal of the septum pellucidum presents as a bulging of head and the body of the caudate nucleus. Okay, I hope you are clear up to here. In the next video we shall discuss about the remaining structures, that are fornix and the third ventricle. We'll discuss about fornix and we'll try to draw a figure of the third ventricle, so that while writing about the theory of the third ventricle in the next video, you'll not get confused. So thank you guys.